Life has a way of revealing truths we sometimes do not want to see. One of the most painful lessons we encounter is the discovery that not everyone around us is as genuine as they appear. People wear masks, they speak in ways that please, they present themselves in ways that hide their true intentions. At first, it can be shocking to realize how fake some people really are. But what matters more than the disappointment itself is what you choose to do with this revelation. Do you let it break you, or do you allow it to build your mental toughness? The answer to that question determines the strength you carry forward. When someone shows you a false version of themselves, it is natural to feel betrayed. You may ask, how could they do this? Why did I not see it sooner? These questions swirl endlessly in the mind. But the truth is, deception is not always easy to detect. People act from their own fears, insecurities, and desires. Sometimes they are fake, not because they plan to harm you, but because they do not even know who they truly are. Understanding this does not excuse their actions, but it gives you a perspective. Their behavior reflects them, not you. This is where mental toughness begins, not by blaming yourself for being fooled, but by learning how to see clearly without letting bitterness take root in your heart. Mental toughness does not mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means learning to stand firm when illusions collapse. It is the ability to face disappointment without being destroyed by it. When you realize people are not what they claim to be, you have two choices. You can carry resentment and let it harden into mistrust of everyone, or you can accept it as a lesson that sharpens your perception. Resentment weakens you because it poisons your view of the world. Clarity strengthens you because it sharpens your awareness and prepares you for the future. Seeing how fake someone truly was can be painful, but pain is not without purpose. It teaches you the value of authenticity. It shows you how important it is to be real with yourself and with others. It reminds you that masks may fool people for a time, but truth always reveals itself. When you use these lessons wisely, you build resilience. You learn to observe actions more than words, consistency more than promises, and character more than appearances. This awareness is the essence of mental toughness. It allows you to navigate relationships without being naive, but also without closing your heart completely. The world is full of pretenses. People pretend to be happy when they are not. They pretend to be strong when they are breaking inside. They pretend to care when they are indifferent. To expect complete honesty from everyone is unrealistic. But to develop the strength to see through pretenses and remain grounded, that is within your power. Toughness is not about distrusting everyone. It is about training your perception so you are no longer easily shaken when truth finally appears. When you discover someone's mask has fallen, use it as a mirror. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Perhaps you trusted too quickly. Perhaps you ignored small signs. Or perhaps you expected people to live by your standards rather than their own. None of this means you should blame yourself, but it does mean you should learn. Each experience makes your vision sharper. Each disappointment makes your judgment clearer. Over time, you become less fragile because you no longer cling to illusions. You begin to accept people as they are, not as you imagine them to be. This acceptance is not weakness, it is wisdom. Mental toughness also requires understanding that people's fakeness is often rooted in fear. They fear rejection, so they pretend to be what others want. They fear judgment, so they hide their real thoughts. They fear being vulnerable, so they wear layers of masks. Knowing this can help you see beyond the surface. It allows you to recognize that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of their struggle. When you grasp this truth, you stop wasting energy on bitterness and instead focus on strengthening your own character. There will always be people who disappoint you, but there will also always be people who are genuine, honest, and real. The challenge is to not let the fake ones blind you to the real ones. If you allow betrayal to turn you cold, you close yourself off from meaningful connections. But if you use the betrayal as a lesson, you keep your heart open while sharpening your vision. This balance, open yet discerning, is the mark of true toughness. Building mental strength means choosing not to be controlled by emotions when reality does not match expectation. Disappointment is natural, but living inside disappointment endlessly is a choice. Every time you face someone's fakeness, you have an opportunity to practice detachment. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop giving away your peace to those who do not deserve it. Detachment gives you freedom. It allows you to say, I see the truth, I accept it, and I will not let it disturb my inner balance. Authenticity begins with you. The more genuine you are with yourself, the easier it becomes to spot when others are not. If you live with integrity, if your words align with your actions, if you treat others with honesty, then you naturally develop a sensitivity to authenticity in others. You notice when something feels inconsistent, you sense when words do not match energy, you observe without judgment but with clarity. This inner alignment becomes your shield against deception. Remember, the purpose of mental toughness is not to eliminate pain. It is to prevent pain from ruling you. Life will never be free from disappointment, but you can be free from being broken by it. You do this by seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. You do this by learning to accept people's masks without letting them control your peace. You do this by focusing on your own integrity rather than wasting time on the emptiness of others. Every time you see how fake someone truly was, you are given a choice: collapse or rise. Collapse into bitterness or rise into clarity. Collapse into distrust or rise into discernment. Collapse into self-doubt or rise into self-awareness. Those who rise build toughness that cannot be shaken by illusions. They carry a calmness that no betrayal can fully take away. They know that storms will come, but they also know they have the strength to remain unshaken. Mental toughness is not built in comfort. It is forged in moments like these, when you see the truth behind the mask, when you feel the sting of betrayal, when you realize that not everyone is who they claim to be. These are the moments that test your foundation. And if you choose to learn, they are also the moments that strengthen your foundation. Each experience becomes a brick in the fortress of your resilience. So, when life reveals how fake someone truly was, do not let it make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. Do not let it turn your heart cold. Let it make your vision sharp. Do not let it break your spirit. Let it build your strength. This is what mental toughness truly is: the ability to face deception, betrayal, and disappointment without losing yourself, without losing your authenticity, without losing your peace. In the end, the world will always have masks, but you do not need to wear one. Be genuine, live with integrity, and let your strength be the quiet example of what it means to remain real in a world full of pretenses. When you live in this way, you no longer fear the fakeness of others, because you carry something more powerful: the toughness to remain unshaken, no matter what masks may fall before you. Every mask that falls is not your loss, it is your lesson. When you live long enough and open yourself to people, you will eventually discover that not everyone presents themselves as they truly are. Sometimes people wear masks out of fear, sometimes out of pride, sometimes out of selfishness. and sometimes simply because they themselves do not yet know who they are. At first, the revelation of a mask falling can feel like a heavy loss. You feel betrayed, disappointed, even broken. You might wonder why you trusted, why you believed, why you opened yourself to them in the first place. But with time and reflection, you come to realize that what feels like loss is not truly loss. It is instruction. It is life showing you something you needed to learn, sharpening your perception, and preparing you for a deeper kind of strength. When someone shows you a false face and that mask eventually slips, it is a moment of truth. Truth may hurt, but truth also frees you. It frees you from illusions, from false expectations, from misplaced trust. In that freedom, there is power because you are no longer bound by the story you told yourself about who they were. You now see reality, and reality, even when it is unpleasant, is the only place from which real strength can grow. If you choose to treat the falling mask as a loss, you become stuck in bitterness. But if you treat it as a lesson, you step into clarity. And clarity is the seed of wisdom. Consider how often in life we become attached not to people as they are, but to the version of them we want to see. We ignore small inconsistencies. We excuse behaviors that do not align with their words. We project our hopes onto them, hoping they will live up to the picture in our mind. But when the mask falls, the illusion shatters. This moment can feel devastating, but it is also the very moment you are reminded that seeing clearly is always more valuable than being comforted by lies. If you reflect deeply, you realize that every disappointment of this kind strengthens your vision. You begin to recognize patterns faster. You notice details that escaped you before, and you learn to trust actions far more than promises. This does not mean you should close your heart or view everyone with suspicion. Mental strength is not the rejection of people. It is the refinement of your perception. To see masks fall without letting your heart harden, that is the discipline. To feel the sting of deception yet remain open to truth, that is the strength. When you remember that every mask that falls is not your loss, you stop carrying the heavy burden of resentment. You stop thinking of yourself as a victim. You stop replaying the same question of why they did what they did. Instead, you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me wiser, calmer, more resilient? It is important to understand that people wear masks for many reasons. Some are intentional, but many are unconscious. They fear rejection, so they pretend. They fear judgment, so they hide. They fear weakness, so they project strength. This does not excuse their behavior, but it explains it. By understanding this, you shift your focus from blaming them to strengthening yourself. Their mask is their journey, but its fall is your lesson. The lesson might be about patience, or about boundaries, or about learning to trust your intuition more deeply. Whatever the case, the point is not to lose yourself in their act, but to find yourself more clearly through it. You will notice that after each experience of unmasking, you become steadier. At first, the pain cuts deeply. Later, it still hurts, but it does not destabilize you. Eventually, you reach a point where you can witness the mask fall, acknowledge the truth, and walk forward with calmness. This progression is mental toughness in action. It does not mean you no longer feel. It means you no longer collapse. It means you carry a kind of quiet power that cannot be easily shaken. Think of it like training. Every challenge is a repetition. Every betrayal is a weight you lift. Every falling mask is resistance that makes you stronger. If you see it as loss, you abandon the training. If you see it as lesson, you continue to build your strength. Over time, your resilience becomes unshakable, not because life stopped testing you, but because you learned how to use every test as fuel for growth. Another hidden gift of masks falling is the reminder of the value of authenticity. You learn through contrast. By seeing how painful fakeness is, you are reminded of how precious sincerity is. You are reminded of the importance of living truthfully yourself. You are reminded that wearing your own mask only delays your growth, and that showing up as you are honest, flawed, real is the only way to build trust that lasts. In this way, even the dishonesty of others serves as a teacher, pushing you toward greater honesty within yourself. Life will never stop showing you masks. You will encounter them in friendships, in work, in family, in love. The question is never whether masks exist. The question is always what you will do when they fall. Will you call it loss and let it break you? Or will you call it lesson and let it strengthen you? The answer to this question shapes your inner world. If you choose lesson, you walk with more awareness, more calmness, more strength. If you choose loss, you carry bitterness that poisons your future. So let the masks fall. Let people reveal themselves. Do not fear the truth, even when it stings. Do not mourn the illusion that has ended, because illusions are never worth holding. Instead, thank the moment for showing you reality. Thank the lesson for shaping your strength. Thank the experience for sharpening your eyes. With each mask that falls, you are not losing, only learning. With each mask that falls, you are not weaker, you are wiser. With each mask that falls, you are not broken. You are being forged into someone who can stand unshaken in a world where illusions are many but truth is rare. Every mask that falls is not your loss. It is your lesson. Carry this deeply, and you will walk through life with the resilience of one who sees clearly, the calmness of one who is not easily fooled, and the strength of one who knows that truth, even when painful, is the greatest gift life can offer. Mental toughness is not about avoiding pain. It is about refusing to be ruled by it. Many people believe strength means living a life free from discomfort, as though the measure of resilience is how well you can keep challenges away. But the truth is, no one escapes pain. No one escapes disappointment, loss, or struggle. Pain is not something you can delete from your path, and thinking you can is what often makes the suffering worse. What defines toughness is not the absence of hardship, but the way you relate to it. It is not about creating a life where nothing ever hurts. It is about creating a mind that does not collapse when hurt arrives. Every person faces moments when life pushes them to the edge. It could be the loss of someone dear, betrayal from those they trusted, the failure of a dream they carried for years, or even the inner battles that no one else can see. These moments test the very core of who you are, and in those moments, pain cannot be avoided. But what you can avoid is letting it rule you. Pain is an experience, a signal, a teacher. When you allow it to dominate your thoughts, control your choices, and shape your identity, that is when suffering multiplies. But when you observe it, accept it, and refuse to bow to it, you discover a power that few ever touch. Mental toughness begins the moment you stop running away. So often, people attempt to numb themselves. They bury themselves in distractions, drown in noise, chase temporary pleasures, or build walls so high that nothing can enter. But avoidance is not strength. It is fear disguised as control. Avoidance delays growth because what you refuse to face never disappears. It only hides and waits for you in another form. The true warrior is the one who turns toward pain, who says, I will face this. I will learn from this. I will not let this define me. That choice is where freedom begins. Pain by itself is neutral. It is part of being human. It comes in waves and passes like seasons. What changes its power is the story you attach to it. When something hurts, Your mind rushes to create explanations. This should not have happened. I am not strong enough. Life is unfair. These stories are what give pain its weight. Without the story, pain is simply sensation. With the story, pain becomes suffering. Mental toughness is the discipline of breaking free from those stories. It is the training of the mind to say, "This hurts, but it will not control me. This challenges me, but it will not decide who I become." Imagine someone lifting heavy weights in training. The weight is not pleasant. It burns muscles, creates fatigue, demands endurance, yet that very resistance is what creates strength. If the lifter avoided all discomfort, their body would never grow. Pain in life works the same way. It is resistance, not punishment. It is the pressure that builds your character, the fire that forges your endurance. Toughness is the realization that pain is not your enemy. It is the tool that life uses to sharpen you. Once you understand this, you no longer ask, "How can I avoid pain?" but instead, "How can I use this pain to grow?" To refuse being ruled by pain does not mean pretending it does not exist. It does not mean denying emotions or locking them away. It means acknowledging them fully, but not handing them the steering wheel of your life. Feel the sadness, but do not let it stop you from moving forward. Feel the disappointment, but do not let it erase your hope. Feel the anger, but do not let it turn into destruction. Emotions are visitors, they come and go. You are the host, you decide how long they stay, and you decide whether they control your home. Some of the strongest people are not those who look unshaken from the outside, but those who have felt deeply and yet chosen not to surrender to despair. Their strength lies in the quiet decision, day after day, to rise again, to move again, to continue again. Toughness is rarely loud, it is often silent. It is the calmness of someone who endures without complaint, the clarity of someone who learns while hurting, the resilience of someone who refuses to let pain chain their spirit. In your own life, reflect on how many times you thought pain would break you, yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving. Those moments prove that you are already stronger than you think. Every wound you have carried, every scar you bear, is not evidence of weakness, but evidence of survival. And each survival gives you more strength to face what comes next. When you shift your view in this way, pain no longer rules you. Instead, it serves you. It becomes a reminder of your capacity, a marker of your growth, a teacher of resilience. There is a calm power that emerges when you stop fearing pain. It no longer controls your choices because you no longer see it as something to escape. You see it as part of the path, something you can walk with and even learn from. This does not mean seeking pain for its own sake. It means not resisting the lessons it brings. When you live this way, your life becomes steadier. You are not shaken by every disappointment, not shattered by every betrayal, not destroyed by every storm. Pain will still visit you, but it will no longer rule you. You remain the master of your mind, and in that mastery, you discover peace even in the middle of struggle. Mental toughness is not a gift, it is a practice. Each day you face challenges, you have the chance to strengthen it. Each time you feel pain, you can choose awareness instead of avoidance, acceptance instead of resistance, growth instead of collapse. These choices build upon one another until you reach a point where nothing can fully break you. That is true toughness, not the absence of pain, but the refusal to be enslaved by it. So the next time pain arrives, do not ask how you can run from it. Ask how you can rise with it. Do not ask why it came. Ask what it came to teach. And most of all, remember that pain is temporary, but the strength you gain from refusing to be ruled by it will remain with you forever. When deception reveals itself, let it sharpen your clarity, not harden your heart. One of the most difficult experiences in life is realizing that someone you trusted, admired, or believed in was not as they appeared. The moment when lies unravel, when intentions are exposed, when truth stands in front of you, it can feel like the ground has shifted beneath your feet. It is natural to feel hurt, angry, and disappointed. It is natural to want to retreat into yourself and say, "Never again will I let anyone close." But this reaction, while understandable, does not serve you in the long run. The danger is not only in being deceived, but also in letting that deception turn your heart into stone. The real strength lies in transforming the pain of betrayal into sharper awareness, into deeper understanding, into clarity that protects you without destroying your capacity to connect. Clarity is different from coldness. To live with clarity means you see people for who they are, not for who you imagine them to be. You are able to recognize inconsistencies. You pay attention to actions more than words. You notice patterns that reveal truth beneath appearances. This is what deception teaches when you are willing to learn. Each time someone betrays your trust, each time someone reveals their mask, you are being trained to look beyond illusions. Life is giving you a chance to sharpen your perception, to refine your instincts, to understand human nature more deeply. But if you allow your heart to harden, if you close yourself off, you block the possibility of growth. You turn the lesson into a prison, and that prison keeps you isolated. There is a difference between wisdom and bitterness. Wisdom sees reality clearly and still chooses to remain open to life. Bitterness sees reality and then builds walls so high that nothing genuine can enter. Wisdom accepts that people are complex, that not everyone will be honest, but it does not generalize this truth to everyone. Bitterness, on the other hand, decides that no one can be trusted. Wisdom sharpens clarity without losing compassion. Bitterness sharpens suspicion and loses peace. Which path you choose determines the quality of your life. When deception is revealed, the first wave of emotions is often strong. It can feel like fire in the chest, like betrayal has stolen something from you. But here is where mental discipline enters. The initial pain is not what defines you. What defines you is how you respond to it. You can feed the anger, repeat the story endlessly, allow it to poison your view of others, or you can sit quietly with it and ask, "What is this trying to show me?" That one question is the turning point. Instead of hardening your heart, you shift the energy toward clarity. You begin to see not just the deception itself, but also the lessons around it, the patterns you missed, the intuition you ignored, the red flags you excused. This process does not make you colder, it makes you wiser. Every deception carries information. It tells you something about the person who deceived you, but it also tells you something about yourself. Perhaps it reveals where you placed trust too quickly, or where you wanted to believe in an illusion because it was comforting. Perhaps it shows you where you need stronger boundaries, or where you need to value consistency over charm. These are lessons that can only be learned in the fire of experience, and though the fire burns, it also illuminates. If you focus on the illumination instead of the burn, you carry forward a gift instead of a scar. It is important to remember that deception reflects the deceiver, not the deceived. People lie because of fear, insecurity, greed, or weakness. Their actions show their character, not your worth. To let your heart harden is to allow their choices to control your life long after they are gone. But to let the experience sharpen your clarity is to reclaim your power. It is to say, "I see the truth, I accept it, and I will not let it destroy my ability to live openly." This is not easy, but it is the path of true strength. There is another reason to keep your heart open even when clarity grows. Not everyone is false. Not everyone wears masks. Not everyone will betray you. Life is full of people who are genuine, who live with integrity, who show up with honesty even when it is difficult. If you allow one deception to harden you, you risk shutting yourself off from these real connections. To live wisely, you must carry both clarity and openness together. One without the other leads to imbalance. Clarity without openness becomes suspicion. Openness without clarity becomes naivety. Together, they create resilience. Think of water flowing over rocks. The water does not resist the rocks, nor does it harden itself to become brittle. It flows, it adapts, it learns the path around obstacles, and in doing so, it shapes the rocks themselves. This is the attitude you must carry. Let clarity be the flow that adjusts to the truth without losing movement, without losing softness. Let it shape your vision, not your compassion. If you harden like stone, you may feel strong for a time, but stone breaks under enough pressure. Water endures. When you practice this balance, you become someone who sees deeply without losing kindness. You become someone who can say, "I see who you are, and I will act accordingly." Without carrying hatred or bitterness, you protect yourself without shutting down. You trust carefully, but not cynically. This way of living builds a quiet, steady strength. It allows you to engage with life fully, without fear of deception, because you know that even if it comes, you will learn, you will grow, and you will not let it rule your heart. So when deception reveals itself, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What can I see more clearly now?" Do not let the pain harden you into someone unrecognizable. Let it refine you into someone wiser, calmer, stronger. Remember always, clarity is a light, bitterness is a cage. One sets you free, the other keeps you locked in the past. Choose the light. Choose to let deception sharpen your clarity, but guard your heart so it stays open enough to recognize truth, to welcome honesty, to build connections that are real. That balance is what will carry you through life with strength and peace.